Hey, what's going on, positive people? It's B Plus. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and thank you for checking out and clicking on this video. Now, I'm pretty excited today just because the news has gone out that yes, I have been nominated for a Spin Award. Now, all of my favorite Christian hip hop shows have been nominated for Spin Awards, have won Spin Awards. So shout out to like the Track Stars, the Crew. The list just kind of goes on and on, but all those people have been nominated for one. So to be nominated myself is just really a blessing. I still feel like I'm an accidental radio host. I'm an accidental YouTuber, even in some ways, but I'm just happy that I am among that category. I got nominated for Best Evening Radio Show, which when I vote, I'm going to vote for the 116 Life Show. That's through Holy Culture Radio as well. And then I also was nominated for DJ of the Year, which I'm not voting for myself for that either. I'm probably going to vote for DJ Wakeup. I've been a fan of his for upwards of 15 years. So it's just dope to be on the same radio station, the same radio company as both of them. And then the last one, which I will vote for myself for, is the Best Evening Radio Show. My show airs at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's called the Be Positive Music Show. So make sure you go vote. Make sure you go vote. When you do vote, vote HCR all down the bracket. Show partiality. But definitely, I'll be honored if you voted for me for the weekend radio show. Now, with that being said, let's kind of switch gears, and I'm deciding to do something a little bit different. I was actually chatting with Bars and Beats Entertainment. What up, Bars? That's my little homie. And we were chatting, and me and him are a lot alike. In a lot of ways, I tell him all the time that like he's like a teenage version of myself. Like if I was growing up in the social media age and really into Christian hip hop, I would be acting and doing all the same things that he's doing. But it's very often that I'm going around to different Christian YouTubers pages, and I'm in the comment section. I'm always in the comment section, and I see him right in there. We always salute each other and everything. But I was chatting with him actually a week from today, a week ago, and I was talking about different comments that I've made, and it's always cool when I'm on a particular YouTuber's page and I make a comment and they think enough of it to pull it up on the screen and talk about it. So I said, man, it's always so hard to get all my thoughts into like 200 characters, I think it is, on YouTube. So I was like, it would be dope if I just started doing a video and just talking about those comments that I had, but just kind of adding a little bit more to it, because it's hard to get everything out. And Bars and Beats was like, you can call it context to the content. No, context to the comment. And I was just like, that's a dope idea. So I had some time today, and I figured let's go ahead and do it. So in the past week, I've been checking out a few of my favorites, and we're gonna start off with one. This is actually from this is Armond Wakeup. So he has a show, Wake Up Tonight. He is a Christian hip hop. Well, he's a dope rap artist from Ohio, and he's a believer. I don't know that triggers some people, but you kind of got to get over it. So he recently was on his show, and I made a comment. He was talking about his current relationship with God and how he's not connecting through like the traditional methods, like praise and worship, reading his Bible, getting commentaries, and digging in that way. So it triggered some people, but I do want to switch here, and I want to play a little bit of that. I think I have it queued up right. So let's go ahead and hop into Armond Wakeup.
My relationship with the Lord in these last few years has been very like, I don't want to call it distant, but it's different.
And I think that we've all kind of been there, if we're being honest. Some people got saved on August 21st, 1996, and they've never wavered. They've always had perfect theology. They've always steered clear of people who have false doctrine and the whole nine. Salute to y'all, but that's not how it is for a lot of people. So I'm gonna let Armond keep talking.
I don't really know how to describe it, but the ways that I pursued him, the ways that I engaged him, I threw all that out because all of it was triggering. I was having the same conversation with a friend, and I was like, yo, everything that I was taught to do to get to God is triggering. Worship is triggering. Being in my word is triggering. Listening to sermons is triggering. Being around other believers is triggering. Being around church culture and Christian community is triggering. The language that is used is triggering.
And I know that that's probably gonna make a lot of people cringe and things like that. But I hear his heart in this just because I've been in places where just like the culture of Christianity, the culture of Christianity in this Western society, you can't start to go through the motions. And then once you go through hard times, going through those motions just doesn't click anymore. And I feel like that's what Armond was kind of talking about. So I'm going to skip ahead here and find a clip. Let me look at my notes here because this is all new to me. So let me go ahead and see if I can grab this next clip.
Go there and identify them. I just believe that. But God knows each and every creature that swims. There are creatures in the sea that we do not know.
All right, so let me give you a little bit of context. So Armond Wakeup, he and his wife went to Hawaii, and he was just spending some time out in nature. And then this is where his train of thought went.
I wholeheartedly believe that we just don't know who they are. They have not been identified by man because they're.
So he's just talking about creatures of the deep. Like when you get really, really deep in the sea, we don't know all of what's going on down there.
They're so deep that like we can't go there and identify them. I just believe that. But God knows each and every creature that swims, not even just like the tight, but like each fish, each crustacean, each everything. He knows exactly where they are at all times. Even the ones that's like in complete darkness, he knows exactly where they are. Those creatures, those waves, that length of the ocean, that depth of the ocean, it fully functions. It is its own universe. It is its own ecosystem. Food is supplied for them. They can breathe in that space. They can hide. They know how to navigate. They know where to stay. They know where their enemies are. All that stuff.
So like, and listening to this that night, I was just like, man, like that's reminiscent of like where the scripture where it says like his eye is on the sparrow. Like if God can orchestrate all these things, then like why should we worry? Why should we worry? So I'm gonna skip ahead here to where he brought up my comment.
So let me tell y'all, I realized in that moment, to B+'s point, shout out B+. To his point, I was like, oh, that's how I connect to God. I don't connect through music. I don't connect through worship. I'm honest, I don't really connect to his word like that. Like his word doesn't speak to me, doesn't jump out at me. And I've been saved for almost 20 years.
So yeah, so I thought that was just I thought it was a dope conversation just because I feel like if people hear like his first portion where he's talking about like how like all these things are triggering him, they're saying like, well, how are you gonna connect with God? Like you're shunning, you're saying you're triggered by all these godly things, and creation and nature can testify and it can speak to the goodness of God. I was just out in my front yard. I think I tweeted about it. And I thought I saw some trash in my front yard when I was watering the grass. I picked up the trash, and it turns out that it was like, I looked up in the tree, and it was a piece of a nest that had fallen out. And it was so intricately made that there was no way that I could take it apart, or I don't think a human can put that together. And it just reminded me that like, man, like our God is just amazing to create something like that. So shout out to you, Armond. I really love checking out your channel, checking out how the Lord's just moving and working in your life. Obviously, I love your music as well. So let's go ahead and get to the next comment, and I believe that is over here on a podcast or a YouTube page by the name of Disrupted Faith. It is by Tech, who is like the host, and then he also has his friends Fred and Jay, who are on here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let's hop into this next one.
What Scripture says about it's more so think about like in a marriage, like there are some hard conversations that me and my wife have about bills, about money, but that's not the total consumption of our relationship. Like there is times to where it's designated to go and enjoy each other, that we laugh together. There are times to where it's not that deep, we just chilling. There's different aspects in the relationship. I feel like for me with God, there is a one track type of transactional relationship that I have with him. It's just like, this is what it looks like to have a relationship with you, God. And that is me with my Bible and praying. I guess for me, it's like a mentality.
And this is why I thought it was interesting, because I believe that Armond Wakeup was on June 21st. He had this conversation about connecting with God. Then the next night, I hopped on to Disrupted Faith's stream, and here they are talking about that same thing, like how to navigate when you're feeling far away from God. So I thought it was just interesting that like back-to-back nights, the same theme is going on in two completely different areas. So, okay, so now we're going to get into the part where they brought up my comment, and then I may talk a little bit more about it, but I just think that Jay did a good job of just really explaining it all. But let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, so let's go to some of the comments here.
B plus.
B plus, what up? B plus says, I like the analogy to marriage. When you stop having fun with your spouse, you tend to start magnifying their shortcomings and overlook their great qualities. I do believe that it's the same with Christ. Obviously, God has no shortcomings, but we magnify our times of disappointment. Yeah. Just like with our spouses, we begin to drift and nitpick.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I think it's true. I agree with that. And it's interesting how shortcomings work oftentimes. Because if you look at like, me and my wife was having like, I don't know how to, like we was having like a bad patch in our marriage. And shout out to the missus, love you. I gotta say that before you. But it was like we was having a moment. And this moment, I'm not sure how long it lasted, but for the sake of this analogy, let's say it was 2 weeks long. Like just terrible. Whatever it was, either arguing, fighting, disagreeing. It could have been the worst 2 weeks ever.
Oh, it's already sped up.
Those 2 weeks could lead one to be like, this ain't working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be like, you know what? I can't foresee anything beyond. Like that's how great you can magnify a moment. And you don't look backwards and see like the other 5 years that were amazing behind you. But that's how grand and how much we can magnify what's wrong. Yeah. And you know, like you can throw away a lot because of one thing. And this I think it's amazing how singular we can be in our thinking. And it's really terrible. It's really terrible because a lot of people, just talking about marriage for a moment, and even religion, and even church hurt, and even God, not that it doesn't exist, but we can have these moments with people, and we can count it all on blaming God for a thing, or we can have these disappointments, and we're like, well, freak God, you know, like screw it all. So we do it all the time with all different things.
And it's, like I said, it's interesting that I watch these on back-to-back nights because it bleeds into everywhere. We do it with our jobs. We have one bad moment, and we can't divorce that from the rest of the good, and we make rash decisions. I was thinking about this a couple of months back when back-to-back when Skip was getting into it with when Skip and Shannon were getting into it, and like a lot of my friends, a lot of people I know, they were like, man, I would quit when he had when he came at him sideways over Tom Brady, and then like a month later it was the whole situation with DeMar Hamlin. But like Skip, to his credit, hung in there and toughed it through the rest of his contract, and he parted ways, and he just didn't give up. And he was still very gracious as he ended the show. So just want to throw that in there. Let's keep listening.
I just think it's amazing how linear. I think that's the idea I was trying to convey with our thinking. It could be terrible, but it's true. Magnifying one thing, even if it's really small in the grand scheme of things, we can put so much on it.
Right, and sometimes we do that. We walk away from God. We walk away from relationships. We walk away from all types of things. So I think I already made that point, but I just want to emphasize that again. Yes, I really feel like Jay just kind of put a bow on that. He did a good job of explaining kind of what I was going for there. So that is the second video that I want to share. I want to share one last one. So those happened last week. There's one that just happened today. My favorite rapper of all time, Baraka, has started a show, and he was on there talking with his wife, and I thought it was a good conversation in general. But I did ask a question on there just about you guys will hear it. Hold on. There's a lot. There was one. This brother right here says something between kids, work, and adulting. The marriage can get put on the back burner. Can you guys share fun, simple date night ideas when you can't leave the house? Would you like to? B plus. I don't know B plus. B plus. My man came out to the Dallas joint. Anyway. I'll say this just as a principle. You have to create environments. My wife and I did not. I'm going to say this. I used to walk around. I used to be content with my wife not being my best friend. And I used to talk about that because I felt like, we don't really.
We talked about it.
Yeah, we've talked about it. And I used to be like, fine. I had many people who were like, bro, that's dangerous. You shouldn't. And I'm like. Like, no, it's fine. And it was fine until it wasn't fine. And so now I've realized I gave my time not only to other individuals, but the time that I invested in other individuals who I would call my best friends or people, I could have been using that energy and effort to invest into knowing my wife deeply and to compromise, because friendship is a compromise of understanding and agreeing on certain things. And C.S. Lewis talks about this. He says, friendship happens at the point when you are going down a particular direction. You look at the person, you say, oh, you too. Like we both have. And the reality is I just wasn't working hard enough to learn my wife. And so one of the things that we've done in the recent year is figure out how can we find areas of commonality. And even if there's not commonality, we are going to compromise where, all right, I learned things about you that you don't like. How can you compromise in that?